At this time, we'd like to call our board meeting to order, Tuesday, November the 28th, 2023. Roll call, Ms. Cindy.
Ms. Richards?
Present.
Mr. Toller?
Here.
Ms. Abrams?
Here.
Mr. Westmoreland? Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Anthony?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Piazza?
Here.
Ms. Dominguez?
Present.
Okay. At this time, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Dominguez will introduce our.
Well, I've invited Ms. Sandra to lead us in the pledge, and she's also going to share some information with us tonight. And we're happy to have you come and share with us tonight, Ms. Sandra. Instead of a patriotic song, she's got some patriotic other stuff tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now?
Yes.
You ready? I wanted to give you a little background information on why and how we get into pray at our board meetings. Way back in the mid-2000s, the ACLU filed a lawsuit against the board for having prayer at board meetings. Board members were actually praying in the old building, and I remember leading the prayer there some. And so they filed the lawsuit that we could not pray at all, and we didn't. So I prayed a lot about it because I knew that was not God's will. And I knew that we could not run a system without going to Almighty God for His direction. And so I did a lot of searching around, and I found out about Alliance Defense Fund, which is a group of lawyers that would defend us our religious rights. And Mike Johnson, who is now the Speaker of the House in Washington for the Republican Party, he was with ADF. And so I got his name, and I called him, and of course we had to get the board to approve his leading us in this direction. And I didn't have but one other vote with 9 of us here on the board, and he was a preacher. And so I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So at that time, we had a coalition with the churches. Beth Davis led that. And so she got all the church members together. And one evening, they came down this driveway in buses. Piles of church people. They got out of the buses, and they filed in here and filled the room up. And all of a sudden, we went from 2 votes to 9 votes when they saw the eyes of these serious Christians that we want prayer at our board meeting. And so when that happened, it was, I remember one of them said, we have crossed over the line tonight, and we will have Alliance Defense Fund. Long story short, so Mike came down, and I met with him many, many times, and Beth too, and some other pastors, on how we could do this. So it came out that we would have prayer, but it would be before the gavel, and also too, it wouldn't be board members. We had to have ministers that would volunteer to come up here and pray, and that's the way it has been. Well, when Mike became Speaker of the House, I just so happened to have his cell phone still. And also, too, of course, he cut a video for me for my campaign, too. And so when he became Speaker, I congratulated him. And I knew I'd never hear from him. I mean, why goodness, why would he answer me? Well, he answered me. He not only answered me, I began to send him particular scriptures. The Lord would show me, I would be reading the Bible, and he'd say, send that to Mike. And I would send them to him. And the next day, he's answered me specifically back on those scriptures. And this is what he sent me the other night when I sent him out of the Beatitudes, that blessed are those who are persecuted for my sake. And I sent him that, and the next day, he sent me this as a thank you, and then he sent me a picture of George Washington in prayer at Valley Forge, and I had that same picture on my wall in color framed at my house of him praying before Valley Forge. So, but Mike copied this and sent it to me, and this is what he said. What he quoted. It says, when Congress asked President Washington to declare America's first National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving, his proclamation of November the 26th, 1789, was quoted as this. This is Washington. It is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, and to be grateful for all of His benefits, and humbly to implore his protection and his favor. He sent me that copy, and I was so overwhelmed in awe that God would take a man who was just not even on the voting list up there. 3 of them didn't get it, and he gets unanimous vote. That's the hand of God. When God wants somebody somewheres, or when he doesn't want them somewheres, they're not going to get there. But when he wants them there, he's going to put them there. So he put this man there, and he's fighting for our religious freedoms. Thank God for that. Because without that, all other freedoms will cease. Without our religious freedoms. And without the power of God leading you all and this nation and this school board, we're nowheres. But with his leading and with committed people that are calling upon God for direction, you cannot fail. Because you see, Almighty God has his hand on you. And all you have to do is seek him before you ever come up here. And even while you're sitting there. What is your will, Lord, for me? What is your will for this system? What can we do to make it better for our kids and for our teachers? What can we do to protect them? And when you pray that, he will answer you and he will show you. Just like he gave me these particular scriptures for this man. Way at the top and I'm way at the bottom, you know? But he still responded. And the thing of it is, we need to be in prayer for people like that. We need to be in prayer for our public officials. Instead of putting them down, we need to pray for them, that the power of God will fall upon them, and that they will lead our nation and this system by his will and by his direction. And he will do it. Just like he washed those scriptures right through my head. I didn't have to think them up. I didn't have to make them up. He just sent them, and I sent them back. And I know it worked because he very personally answered each and every one of them the next day. So if God can use a nobody, he can use everybody and anybody. Just remember that. And he will if you're open to them. And I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm preaching. At the Florida Parish Juvenile Detention Center, that's where our kids go if they don't make it at the Tpss school. That's where they go. Because I go there on Sunday morning to teach Bible at 8, and they tell me, Miss Sandra, I remember you at the Tpss school, and now they're there. And so when I'm there, like this past Sunday, and I'm presenting the Word of God to them, and I'm not a singer, but I sing to them, wherever God tells me to sing to them. If you think you felt God in your church, you hadn't felt nothing till you get in a situation like this. His presence is so real that you can almost touch him. And they don't move. The guards don't jangle the keys. They stop talking on their stuff. And they listen, because when you're open and willing to present yourself wherever God wants you and puts you and anoints you to do it, he will do it. And his presence will fill those rooms. It's good in church. It's really good. But in places like that, where they're in such desperate need and so hopeless, he will come down and he will bless whatever you do if you're open and willing to be led by him. And I didn't mean to preach, but she said to talk about Mike, and that goes along with Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sandra. We love your passion and we love you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Duncan?
I don't want the moment to pass without
Yeah.
acknowledging the historic nature of what just happened, which Miss Sandra told the story about how she led the fight for our last prayer policy to be put in place and how that all came to be. Well, at our last school board meeting, led by the effort of Mr. Piazza, we recognized that the law recently changed as it relates to prayer for public bodies, and we put in place a new policy that expands our ability to pray at our meetings. And of course, Miss Sandra now is the first person to pray under that new expanded policy, which we all thought was very historically appropriate, and we're just grateful that you were part of both of those things coming into place.
Thank
Yes.
you, Ms. Sandra.
Very appropriate. Okay. Item D, consider approval of board minutes of November 28, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Tom and who?
Mr.
Joey.
Piazza.
Ms. Piazza? Okay. All right. Academic updates?
There's a typo on there, right?
Yeah, we need to correct that.
Where?
Well, today is November the 28th, so we're approving the minutes.
From
The 7th.
the 7th.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thinking ahead.
that's right. We're good. Okay, November the 7th. All right, want to call for a vote? Call for a vote, Ms. Cindy?
Okay. Voting is open.
Do we need to make that change before we? No, it's,
I did.
okay, motion to approve, November, okay, I got you, I see it.
Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now, academic update. Overview of school performance scores for 2023. Dr. Fussell?
Good evening, board members, Ms. Tilly. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I know that our schools seem to be happy to be back, but also already counting down for Christmas. It's that season. Tonight, I just want to share with you some overviews. Our RSPS scores were released right before the break, and I recently kind of shared with you kind of how those scores are created. So I'm going to give you an overview, but I want you to know that there's a folder that has all the data broken down by school and learning communities that we can share with you also so you can review and then ask additional questions. See if I can figure this out. So I did like a little 3-year overview just to kind of remind you. Of course, in 2020, we did not have any scores due to COVID. So in 2021, we had some simulated scores, which is where the state kind of picked back up assigning labels, and they had things for our schools, encouraging them. They called them comeback labels. We had some schools that received the comeback labels in 2022 based on their 2021 scores. So in 2021, we had a C. We still maintain our C. We had an increase from 21 to 22. Unfortunately, 22 to 23, we've had a small decrease in our overall district performance score. That's all the schools in the calculator together. So we have individual school successes that we'll talk about, and then we had some schools that also had a small dip. Our overall assessment index, that's 3 to 8, LEAP 2025, and our 6 high school areas. So that's all of those combined into the calculator. And we had, I think it was 3.1 growth from 21 to 22. And then we've had a 9/10 decrease from 22 to 23. Our overall progress index, if you remember, the overall assessment index, those points come from mastery and advanced, and we get 80 points for basic. Our overall progress index is where our students meet their growth targets. So our students can grow, but they may not hit mastery, which is where we would get those assessment index points for them. So in our progress index, we have continued to grow from 2021 to 2023. We're up 1 point in that index. I did note our high school index because, I'm a former high school person, and I just have to point out that for high schools, you're looking at 6 tested subjects. So to have 7.1 index points of growth is pretty good for our high school. So kind of wanted to pull that out for you. Our ACT index, we are up 9/10 of a point. We kind of went down in 2022, but we're a little bit back up in 2023. We did have some high schools that had more growth than others, and you can see that in the folder by high school. I also wanted to remind you there's a whole lot more to the score. There's a lot more areas that I shared with you on that big chart, and in the folder you can look at them by strength of diploma, and then I'll talk about a few of them here that may not necessarily be in that trend data. So some overall stats for you. 12 of our schools increased in their SPS, and we're going to look at those on a separate slide just so you can see how much growth some of those schools. We want to really celebrate that, because we talk a lot to our schools about we do the work, and we may not always get where we want to be, but we want to celebrate the successes when they occur. 21 of our schools did retain their 2022 letter grade, so they may have had growth, but it wasn't enough to change their letter grade. They may have had some decline, but it did not change their letter grade. 2 of our schools did improve a letter grade. Greenville Park is now a D. Laranja High School is now a B. 8 of our schools did decrease a letter grade, so they may have fallen to a C, D, or in some cases an F. Some of it could have been just a tenth of a point, because it's like on that border of 59.9, what have you. 8 of our schools earned an A in their progress index. That means that their students are meeting their growth targets, even if they're not meeting the mastery label proficiency. 87% of our schools overall have a B or better. That's something that recently we were on a call with LDOE, and they kind of highlighted for us. They were trying to really help us identify areas where we are seeing success, and for us, it is in our progress index, and we want to continue those best practices. Our dropout credit accumulation index, that comes from our middle school Carnegie credits. That's where our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are earning those credits that carry over to high school, and at the end of their 9th grade year, how many credits that our students have. We did grow 8.8 points in that area, which that's to our middle schools who are really making sure our students are in those classes and earning those credits. In the label area, we have 4 of our schools that exited the UIRD label. That means that they had a label for discipline, and they no longer have that label. 2 of our schools exited the CIR, which is Comprehensive Intensive Requirement label. 1 school added the UIRD label. 5 schools added the CIR label, but that was due to their subgroups. So, for example, one of our schools who added the CIR label actually grew in their SPS, but because one of their subgroups maintained a D or F in their assessment index, then they get the CIR label, which means, hey, we need to pay attention to that subgroup at that school because we're not seeing growth. And 12 of our schools are less than 5 points away from going to the next letter grade. So Dr. Hayden has already shared with the supervisors and the principals all of their results. She broke down all of their areas for them. So now they're in those conversations of, hey, you're this close to being this letter grade. What goals are we setting? What areas do we need to focus on so that you can attain that goal? And that's the work that's happening now that these scores have been released to them. Here are the celebrations, the 12 schools of growth, and we just put them in order of the growth. To me, all growth, whether it's 1 point, if it was 9/10 of a point, it's worth celebrating. But we do want to highlight that we had some schools well over 5 points in growth. That is some work for those schools, and we will be celebrating them with you. I think at their January board member meeting, we'll have schools to recognize their growth. Some schools who may not have had SPS growth, but they had changes in their labels or their subgroups, and also our highly effective teachers we want to recognize in January. Here's some things that we're doing moving forward to continue to work on and really project the growth where it needs to be. Retention and recruitment. This is the first year we opened the school year with only one. We had 1 vacancy at Amite High School when the school year opened. Of course, since then we've had some teachers go on leave. We've got a good crop coming out graduating in December that because of some initiatives that you put in place, we're already filling some vacancies. We started a transitional zone within one of our learning communities, specifically for our lower elementary schools that were Fs to really focus on literacy for those schools. And you all, increased the effectiveness stipends for our teachers to really add some incentive. Not that they're not incentive enough for the kids to do it, but really a lot of it is individualized planning for students, which takes some time for teachers, and we really want to protect their planning time. That's another thing we're really working with our schools on. And having subs available means that our teachers have their planning time to really work on thinking about student growth. Some new initiatives in the spring and summer. Again, you've recently passed differential pay stipend for our teachers who are highly effective. Ms. Stilley, I think we recently had the Everyday Labs did a brief presentation for you because attendance is a critical factor in increasing our overall, of course, LEAP scores. You cannot have students grow if they're not in school, and that's also for our teachers. So our teachers and students working on attendance to continue to increase our LEAP 2025 scores. We also did purchase a high school intervention program called Power Up. We have not had anything available for our high school teachers, and especially, when they get there and they're a couple of grade levels behind in reading. We haven't had a program, and of course, people over programs always, but this particular program will give the student a test, and if there's even if it's a third grade skill gap, they will give that high school student remediation in that skill, test them again, remediate them again. If that still doesn't show that that gap is closed, it gives the teacher a report of some additional work to do with that student one-on-one. So that's launching now. We're actually loading students into that. Our alternative school students will have access to that as well. Amira, we've used that with our EL students last year. And LDOE actually came to DC Reeves because there was like 11% growth among the students who used that. So they purchased that statewide. So now we can use that for all K-5 students. And we are actively using that now. And then also we did, Miss Deshae Johnson and I just got back, and she'll have more to share with you in an academic update on our new magnet grant. But we did actually get a magnet school grant for Amite Westside, Amite High, OW Dillon, and the Advanced Career Center around math and science. And if you look in the folder that we're going to share with you on the trend data by subject, science was the area we had the most growth last year, and then math was second. So this grant will particularly continue to grow in the areas of math and science. So that's just a very high-level overview of some of the data. Again, I'll share the folder with you, and then if you have any questions or about a particular school or index that you'd like more information on, I'm happy to speak to anybody about that. Any questions or comments?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Purcell, for the update. Okay. Consider committee reports. Finance and Audit Committee, November 7th, 2023. Mr. Duncan?
Second.
Mr. Anthony? Okay. Questions, comments? Call to vote, Ms. Cindy.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Board action. Mr. Jeff McNeely, consider approval of industrial tax exemptions.
I would like to say one thing first. I'm not an educator. Dr. Purcell's an educator. I'm a financial person. $15 million grant. $15 million of additional money to help educate our children here in central and northern Tangipahoa Parish. $15 million. Did I say $15 million? All right. We have before you tonight two ITEP approvals, exemption requests for approval. The administration is recommending approving these. The first one is the purchase of a piece of equipment, $173,000 piece of equipment. We will receive sales tax as use tax for that purchase, so we will get 2.5% of that, or about $4,300. As part of the proposal, it's also going to add a job. So when we're looking for our graduates having somewhere to go work, jobs are important. What we will be waiving is, and the first one, about $110 a year, because our property tax on this particular project is only 4 mills. So I'll talk about the second one too. The second one is a $711,000 purchase of equipment. We'll receive sales tax of about $17,000 on that, and the property tax that we will be given just a 5-year exemption per year of $453. This is a company that has been located in Tangipahoa Parish for over 4 decades. They're a manufacturing company. They're here if you would have any questions for them, but I never cease to be amazed at the ingenuity and the businesses that we have actually operating here in Tangipahoa Parish. So they produce metal parts and plastic parts for a lot of our local companies. So the Fishers are here, as well as Ginger Cangelosi, who is the Director of Economic Development for Tangipahoa Parish. One of my former fellows from parish government. So if y'all have any questions, they're glad to answer them. If not, we would ask support for both of these.
Move to accept the recommendation for A.
For A,
Right?
Second.
Just a question. Mr. McNeely, so I noticed the company has a Hammond address, but they are outside, I guess, of the Hammond school taxing district, the one
When
that,
I pulled it up on the Tangi GIS and pulled up the tax, the tax record for their assessment, it does not include the magnet tax. It's just the 4%, the 4 mil. District 100.
so it says
Macedonia,
Macedonia Road, that's outside of that taxing district?
it is according to the assessor's website.
Okay.
Wait. Is it the Macedonia Road or Pumpkin Center direction?
So they're on the other side of the river?
The block from Pumpkin Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And what business is it?
Well,
Just, yeah, come tell us about yourself and about it, please. Thank you.
My name is Nick Fisher. We manufacture parts for a number of different industries, whether they're in Tangipahoa Parish, but mostly in Louisiana. We have a washing machine manufacturer in Canada, and these people make commercial washing machines, and we manufacture parts for them for the larger pieces of equipment. Some of them are coin machines, some of them are go on cruise ships, hotels, and things of that nature. We make parts for recip compressors for natural gas. These parts actually push natural gas, keep the pressure up throughout the country. And so these compressors are staged throughout the country. So the manufacturers of these compressors, they come to us and we produce them on a very quick basis. Because normally when pieces of equipment break, they need a turnaround very quickly, and that's where we come in. We also have a blow mold facility right here in Hammond, which is Grant Packaging, and they make the Folgers coffee jugs. We make the equipment to help produce these jugs, to put the labels on them. So we make a variety of parts for them in their manufacturing process, because they make millions of bottles a month in order for Folgers. And we have coffee companies that we make parts for, water companies, Kentwood Water. There's robots that we specialize. We make custom-made parts that will grab the 5-gallon water bottles and take them out of the containers. I've designed these parts. We have the pump manufacturer, gearbox manufacturer. They send us the raw castings. We do all the machine work on it, and then we ship it out. We have another company locally that on Pumpkin Center, and they produce the signposts that all for stop signs and different signs. If you see this little square post with all the holes in it, they're produced right around the corner from our shop. We make all of the punches that punch all of these holes. And this is an ongoing process because there's thousands of holes that they punch a day. We were involved in making cylinders for a company that's doing work on Marvin Tabernacle Church. And these cylinders, right now, the church is going through a process to make it earthquake-proof. Well, they came to us and with the design of a cylinder, and we made them for that particular problem. So when people come to us, and we make parts that most people don't have the capability. So we keep buying larger pieces of equipment that makes us specialize, and that's what we're here for. Anybody that would love to come and take a tour of our facility is welcome. We have
A couple of questions. So I did want, I looked up your address. Y'all are south of I-12, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're right off a block off of 22.
All right. And then, so how many employees y'all been here for 40 years?
42 years. We moved here in 2000. We built the facility.
Okay.
And then we added on to it in 16. And we're considering another addition, larger addition now.
And how many employees
We
do you
have
have?
10 employees right now
Okay.
with a salary of $800,000 a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, a little history on this. This board has been back and forth on these type of incentives.
Right.
Because we have been in different times of our history, have needed tax dollars really bad. We've always needed tax dollars really bad. But just to tell you where I stand on this and just, why I'm supporting this tonight is because the sheer numbers. When we're reaping more benefit than it's costing us, it is a small gift that we're giving back to incentivize your small business in Tangipahoa Parish. And like I said, we have been back and forth with this before, but I want to create a new path forward for me that I'm supporting small businesses in these endeavors to where even that little, I know it's $400 or $500 over the course of it, it's something that I'm saying back to the small businesses because we need you in our parish. We need you to employ our students. We need you to shop local and support our schools. So we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm just a little confused. So this is a piece of equipment that's being purchased. So technically this would be inventory tax. Is that correct? Or is it a fixture? Or?
It's actually a piece of equipment. It's a machine to manufacture parts.
Okay.
This machine, you could put your car on.
Okay.
That's how big it is.
But it makes the property tax go up because they
Gotcha.
just improved their property value with the piece of equipment.
So the weight is a 100,000 pound machine
Okay.
that we're able to do machine work on parts. There's a manufacturer in Slidell that builds hydraulic cranes, and they have parts so large that nobody has the capability of machining. Since we bought this machine, it afforded us the luxury of being able to take these jobs that we hadn't been able to do before.
Okay. Thank you.
Reasonable investment.
So what you're saying, if we need a part made, we can come to you
Oh, yeah.
as a partner now. We'll make sure.
We put this
Partnerships,
there's
right?
a limit to how small they are. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like I say, big parts are big money. But that's
Mr.
our
Ducker.
philosophy. If it can be done, we can do it.
As Mr. Toller said, we've kind of, every time we've had, and it's not a question for you, I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of explain my vote on this too, because, ultimately, each one of these votes, to me, it's an independent analysis where I have to do kind of a return on investment type of analysis. Because when we vote in favor of these, it's really a tax expenditure. We're telling the rest of our voters that they have to pay their taxes, but these particular people, we're going to give a special benefit to, where we're not going to collect the tax dollars from that specific person. And so I have to be able to explain to the rest of the voters who I've asked to pay their tax dollars why this one particular business or entity is not going to have to pay their tax dollars. And the only way that I can do that is to talk to them about the return on investment. Yes, we're expending these dollars, right, in this way, but here's the reason why. And so in this case, it's a very low amount, right? It's where we're not waiving, the magnet tax dollars. It's just the constitutional tax dollars, but we are receiving the sales tax dollars in doing this, and there's jobs and there's the support of the small business. So to me, the math works. It's a legitimate.
$800,000 in salaries.
The salaries.
People are going to spend this money in Tangipahoa Parish.
So in this instance, it makes sense to me,
Yeah.
but that's why I do want to explain that there are some where the money, it doesn't. The return on
Yeah.
investment to me has not been there, and I have not supported those.
Right.
In this instance, it makes sense.
Well, we would like to grow. We'd like to hire more people. It's extremely difficult right now, trying to find people. All the people that we have right now, we have trained. They've come in, and as long as they had good work ethic, and they had the ability to want to learn, we will teach. Because not everybody has the aptitude to do what we do. And so it's like any industry. We have people that come in, they say, I have 10 years experience with this, and I want X amount of dollars because I've had this 10 years experience. But when you ultimately hire them, you find out that they've inflated their ability. And so this is the constant weeding out of what you're trying to do. And so if we can put forth the effort to bring a child in that's young, that has a desire, that wants to work and wants to learn, it's attainable. It's desire. The reason I went into business because I had the desire. I had the ability. I had the confidence. But now at this point in my life, I have to find people that's going to replace me.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
One
Ms.
question,
Robin?
or two things. Might be a good partnership for us to get in our college and career program.
Yeah.
One thing. But secondly, is this something that the parish government and the sheriff's office had to exempt as well? Did they exempt
Yeah,
this?
We were at a council meeting last night.
They exempted? Okay, okay.
And the
Okay.
sheriff's office voted that he's approved it?
The sheriff's office approves it by abstaining, but, if you do nothing, it
Mhm.
is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Call for question?
Call for question. Yeah. Call for question?
Voting is open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Now, item B. I think we have enough.
Motion to accept recommendation from the administration?
Okay.
Second.
Second by Ms. Robin. I think we've questioned enough.
Call for
A call for vote.
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and am I correct, Mr. Jinko, that this one has been postponed? Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll have our superintendent's report and recommendations.
Yes, Madam President, thank you. We have on the agenda for the board to consider the 2 years of calendars. It's the 2024-25 and the 25-26 calendar. We had drafts of these calendars. We put them out for basically a vote for from all of our employees and also families, our parents and families that are involved with the system. And the overwhelming calendar for both the 24-25 school year and the 25-26 school year is option 1. On both of those calendars, And both of the calendars have built-in professional development days for teachers. And the reason for that is because once upon a time, in a galaxy far away, we could get substitutes to do training for teachers during the school year, during the school day, but with the shortage of substitutes, that's just not an option anymore. So we build in 8 or 9 professional development days in our calendar so that we can keep our teachers trained up in what they need to do instruction with students. We also have emergency days built into the calendar on both years. I believe there's 4 days built in, with also the noted at the bottom of where we would put those days back into the, give those back to our employees and students if we did not have to use those days. So option 1 for both. We also adjusted, Ms. Dominguez, I know one of the things that you that you suggest is to get out before Memorial Day, and we did adjust those calendars to make sure that we had the instructional time in so that we could, teachers would not have to return after Memorial Day in May. So we made that change. The change that I would ask, or the one tweak that I would ask the board to consider tonight that's not on this calendar, is to include Juneteenth as a holiday for employees to align to governor's order. So if the governor issues an order that it's a state holiday, I think our district, my recommendation is that we adopt that as a holiday in June as well. It is a federal holiday now, but in the event that the governor declares it a state holiday, I would recommend that we observe that as well for our employees in June. It usually falls sometime in June, and whatever the date the governor sets as that day would be the day that we would honor. I mean, we would have as a holiday. That's the calendars. We emailed these to you guys, I think prior to the vote. We've vetted it with the teacher advisory and so forth, and so we're ready. And as promised, I think the policy says that we adopt a calendar by February, I believe is what it says. But we wanted to, part of the feedback that we get from our constituents is that they would like to know the calendar a little bit more in advance. So I think we did well this time in delivering it early, and not only early, but they have 2 years. They have this coming school year and the next year in advance. Many of our families and employees like to make arrangements for trips or vacations, and they use the calendar. I know Mr. Duncan has shared with me that in the court system, they use the calendar a lot of times to set visitations. So I think that this was something that we needed to do much earlier, and so that's what we wanted to do. Take any questions y'all might have.
I think it was good. I enjoyed reading the comments that a lot of the people wrote. I mean, they share their ideas, and it's good that we give them an opportunity to say what they would like to say, about them. So.
Since my wife voted for option 1, I'm a motion to adopt the superintendent's report of approving the 2024 and 25 calendar and 25 and 26.
I'll second
Okay,
that.
Ms. Rose, second. Okay. Questions, comments?
I am going to I'm going to share with y'all just some input that I'm receiving as Ms. Stilley pointed out, in the family court world. This thing that we started this year and that I guess we're carrying over in this one, where we add those 2 extra days to the Christmas calendar, is not working well in the family court world, because the way that most of our custody judgments are crafted is that the families who have these split families, they are instructed to take the school holiday, find the midpoint, and in odd numbered years, mom gets the first half of the Christmas holiday and dad might get the second half of the Christmas holiday. Well, when our calendar came out last year, all of those families, which if you recall, about probably half of our student population is in one of these types of situations. Well, all of those families looked at the school calendar that we adopted and found that midpoint and made Christmas visitation schedules based upon what the calendar said. Well, and then a few weeks ago, Miss Stilley started pointing out to everybody, well, hey, there's this asterisk, and if we don't use these emergency days, your holiday schedule is going to shift by 2 days. Well, so it's great for divorce lawyers because we're getting all kinds of business out of this, I guess, but it's creating havoc. And I understand why we're doing it. Maybe we'll be able to figure it out. I'm not asking to change anything, but I did want y'all to at least know that it's creating some problems, because we're now telling all of these families that they have to adjust their holiday plans because we added 2 days to the holiday schedule all of a sudden.
They're going to argue.
Most of them are going to argue anyway. Hopefully all of them will, or most of them will work it out.
It's 2 days, they can split them.
Yeah.
It's 2 days that they can split, but if they were planning on going on vacation out of town and it does create a problems. I will just tell you that if we were to do the same type of thing at the end, where we were just extending their summer schedule, it would not create the same problem, because the summer schedule in most of our custody judgments is defined specifically as the months of June and July. It's not dictated based upon when we get out of school. So I don't know. It's just something I guess I felt like I needed to share.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. I was thinking the same thing. And also, I do like the June 10th, if the governor approves it, to be
State
a
holiday.
state holiday, yes. Okay, to be added to our calendar. All right, call to vote, Ms. Cindy?
Voting is open. Voting is closed. Motion passes unanimously.
And at this time, we're going to move to move our public input. We will have Mr. Jeffrey Reed at this time. And we'd just like to note that it is not the board. We cannot respond, so don't take it as we're not listening or wanting to respond, but it's just our policy to listen at this point in time. Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for having me tonight. I know I got a short amount of time. I'll try to be quick. I think it's important that I give you a little background on myself and my family. My student, I have 3 children that went through the school system. One is still in, 2 have graduated. My youngest son, who I'm going to be talking about tonight, his mom is a 17-year veteran in the school system, has been Teacher of the Year. My oldest son is a teacher at Verondra High School, been in the system about 7 years. I personally have never taught in the school system, but I rejuvenated the football program at Champ Cooper when there was none. I raised all the money to fund that privately. I've been a junior high basketball coach at Champ Cooper, and I've also been a high school basketball coach at Covington High School. So I've been around kids, I've been involved with kids, and I got a vested interest in the school system and these children. With that being said, this emotional thing for me to talk about, I'm going to give y'all each something to look at if you don't mind while we talk. Folks, we got issues at Verondra High School. I'm really ashamed that I even got to be here tonight to speak to you, to get you involved in this. I'm looking for what I'm wanting from you ultimately, privately, later tonight, some other time down the road, is to point me in the right direction. because I'm at a standstill right now what to do. My son is a freshman at Oronja High School. He's on the bowling team. He's also a freshman on the baseball team. A little background on him: he was, as a baby, he had 3 brain surgeries. He has a shunt in his head that drains into his stomach. While I wouldn't refer to him as special needs, I would say that he's different than the rest of the children. Miss Stilly knows him personally. He's the sweetest kid you ever breathe breath into, and I'm not saying that just because he's mine. Some of you board members know me personally. Some of you board members I've done business with. Some of you board members I've coached over the years. So a lot of you are familiar with me. You know I'm no nonsense, the ones that know me, and you know I do what I say and I say what I mean. With that being said, my son was assaulted at school during class, during the school day. That was a result of his injuries. It was 2 older students that did it. One actually put him on his knees. You could call it bullying, that's what it was. And he made sexual gestures toward his face once he got him on his knees. After that happened, the second student threw, it's called a bat hammer, a glove hammer, I'm sorry. He threw it at him and called his name so he'd turn and look and hit him in the head, where he's had these brain surgeries, where he has these issues. And that was the result of it. I mean, I'm hoping you're as flabbergasted as me if we don't go any further. The story gets worse from there. I went and met with the coach privately. I didn't ask for the kids to even be removed from the team. All I wanted them to do was to be punished severely and to know that what they did was wrong. He told me all the right things, said he was going to do all the right things, said he would help let me be involved in making the punishment. Page 2 of what you have there is the punishment he come up with for him. Being a coach, I've had kids show up late for team meetings that got more punishment than that. I wasn't satisfied with it at all. At that point, I went to the principal. I had 4 meetings with the principal. The first 3 meetings went well. She told me all the right things. She was as flabbergasted as me with what happened. She thought the punishment was awful, was not near severe enough what they were going to do to the children. And then all of a sudden at the 4th meeting, I got a form email afterwards that said she was moving forward with that punishment and going to let the current coaching staff implement the punishment, which I didn't think was right because the current staff's part of the problem. It's why this incident happened anyway during school day, during school hours, in a school classroom. After I didn't get any relief from the principal, I went to my school board member. We talked. He assured me, give him 1 week, he'd get to the bottom of it, and if need be, he would oversee the punishment personally. It's been 8 weeks ago. I cannot get a return phone call. I cannot get a return text. I cannot get a return email. And that brings me here to you today. I don't know how to get any relief from this situation, but what I can assure you is that I'm not letting this go. These kids are going to be punished. They're going to be punished properly. And then when that's done, if everybody sees fit for them to play baseball, it's their junior and senior years. I'm not trying to take nothing from these kids. At this point, I've pressed charges on both kids because nothing's been done to them. I don't want to press charges on a 16 or 17-year-old kid with his life in front of him. But I can't let my son go unjustified either. And I'm at a standstill. So if any of you have any ideas, any suggestions, where I can go from here, I'm not threatening nobody. I'm not here to make threats, but I am here to tell you that if I have to take legal matters into my hands to get some justification, that's where I'm going next. I'm hoping you can help me so we don't have to go there. With that being said, I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, I'm easy to find, easy to talk to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll start with personal privileges. Ms. Dominguez?
Yes, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. It was a nice, I've been decorating for days for Christmas. We're getting geared up for that. And I was talking to Ms. Simmons earlier, and she is a hardcore decorator and has been working hard too. So Ms. Simmons, we do appreciate you taking time out from that to come up here and share with us We appreciate you. We miss you. We're glad to see you here with us. And we're just looking for a good holiday season.
I'm good.
Oh, who's up?
Me? Well, first of all, congratulations to Kentwood on a good season so far, and best of luck Friday night as they play at home. Probably this will be the toughest game of the season. Probably will decide who the state championship is. But Friday night, so my hat's off to them, and best of luck to them. Second of all, Miss Andra, as always, it's good to see you again. It's good to have you still participating in our school system and still participating with teaching kids at Florida Parish. Glad to have Stacy and Darby. Just came in. And everything else I think I've already covered with the superintendent earlier, so I'm good.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you to Miss Sandra. It's really a pleasure to have you here, and I enjoyed the little sermons. If you ever want to preach again, hey, call me on my phone and preach to me because I need to hear it. So thank you for that.
You will.
Yeah, I definitely will. And thank you to our taxpayers for getting this magnet tax passed. I don't know if the general taxpayer knows how much this does, but it's 75 employees that it employs. It's just tremendously important. So I'm glad that was able to sneak through. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Miss Sandra, always good to see you. I might have to get you to come to our Christmas gathering so we can have you give your little story again, as you always did. As far as our growth, Dr. Purcell, we show that there's been some decline in some of the areas, but we need to praise what increase we have had. And I just want to say congratulations to Laranja for sure for their increase because they are now a B school, so I'm excited about that. Wish everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I hope all the teachers are rejuvenated and coming back, and we have just a few more weeks before our Christmas break, so we're looking forward to that.
First off, I want to say thank you, Ms. Simmons, for coming and accepting the invitation to do this momentum thing that we did. You were a part of that first fight, and so thankful that you were here to finish it off. So thank you so much for coming back and giving that wonderful sermon. Like Trent said, that what you said was amazing, and I think more people need to hear that because without him, nothing's possible. Dr. Fussell showed us our numbers tonight. I wanted to say thank you to Laranja Elementary. I was actually able to sit in one of their collaborations that they did, and it truly shows that they are working their butt off over there in Laranja Elementary. So thanks to Ms. Sampson and all of her team that she does over there. I mean, she's a rock star. If y'all haven't had an opportunity to go sit in with her, she just brings a lot of energy to the table. Everybody enjoys being around her. So she definitely deserves the praise, especially with these numbers, along with the other schools that saw significant growth in our SBA. Something that Dr. Fussell forgot to mention in there is, we get lost in looking at the little percentage that we grow, but it is very hard to get just 1% or 0.5% in these growth numbers. I mean, it is extremely tough in how they are graded, how they are subject to us from the state. So any growth is good growth, and to see 8.5% in an SBA is just amazing to see. I know we've had some struggles with other schools, but we will address those. But to see that growth is amazing. And then last but not least is, and this is going to hurt to say, but good luck to Kentwood football. They're the last one standing. I hope y'all do well on Friday. Like Tom said, that's probably going to be whoever the champion is of the whole shebang. Good luck to Kentwood. You got your pom-poms up here. But I also want to say congratulations to all the coaching staff throughout the parish for all the hard work they put in over the summer months, through the school year, what they do with our students across the board. But good luck to Kentwood this week, and go Roos. Ow, that hurt.
I didn't go
as an Alabama, as a meat warrior, that hurt to say go Roos.
Okay, Ms. Stitt.
I just wanted to give a huge thank you to the Hammond voters who went out to renew that magnet tax a few weeks ago. Before the holidays, I had an opportunity to go to Hammond High and spend some time with some of our students there. And just to be able to talk to them and the level, they're so smart. And They work really hard. I was so proud to just see the fruits of the labor of over the years. And I was talking to them, and many of them were born the year that we started this work way back when with the magnet schools, the magnet programs, and today they're getting the fruits of that, and they have so many opportunities out there for them, and just to be able to talk to them personally meant a lot to me, and I just think that the taxpayers should be very proud in the Hammond area of what they're producing and graduates there and the opportunities that they have, and they're just making our community better all around. So I want to thank them publicly for that, and I want to wish the Roos luck Friday night. That's right, under the tank, and we hope to see them in the dome. Yeah.
We got a cheer. I got a cheer.
She must have something.
That way. First, I'm going to do some little housekeeping because I just want to say that in the last couple of days, we've had some tragedy in driving and the fatal accidents. So we're asking that during these holidays, please pay attention to especially our students and our children and driving, and because we've had some fatalities, and one of them happened in the Roseland area. It's one of our employee's son, Miss Dora Warren, and the James and the Briggs family lost their son and husband in a fatal car accident. And in one car accident, it's not that it was multiple. So we have to really be careful during these times. Now, okay, and like Mr. Jinko was asking, okay, where are they playing? And then he came up with the perfect thing. So we're going to take this and run with this in Kentwood. We're at home to the dome. So we're going to be at home. And I just want to say that we are proud of all of the other teams that fought to stay in there. And we're just going to ask that we're Tangi proud, we're Tangi strong. So now that Kentwood, those rules are in there, we want to see you. We want you to show up Friday night to support us. And now look, because we're going to be watching, because if you're not there on Friday night, we're going to cut you off coming down to the dome. But we want to say to our coaching staff and our principal up at Kentwood High School, and to our players and our parents, that we're very proud of our children and all of the hard work that they're doing, and we're expecting to win this. We're going to go to the Superdome, and our new thing is we're going to put a K on it. That's go Roos. Okay. If there's nothing else,
Motion to adjourn.
we're adjourned.